Once you just got its brand new scenario, the Way of Winter, I'm going to go over all the leveling tips, how to push the level as fast as possible. We're also going to go over what buffs you need to get to Hiverrail and be able to get into the Tundra Zone. We'll go over all the essentials, what the bare minimum is to be able to survive the winter, especially early on, and even how to get ammo as well as gunpowder very easily and fast, as ammo is extremely scarce in the beginning. We'll go over all the details as well as a whole bunch more. What's up, world? Should be back with another video. Today we're checking out all things Once Human. Okay, so let's just jump right into it. What do we do early level? What are we trying to focus on? As there is a ton of stuff here in the map that we're going over, essentials of which place to spawn in, how to get to either side. So starting off, you'll be able to either select the Fjord location or the Onyx Tundra. Now, it really doesn't matter which section you pick here. It does say that Onyx Tundra is for beginners. It does seem like the easier section because you do get more places to go, or at least there are more of the city locations that you could get to, and that might help out significantly. So I might, if I could go back, maybe pick the Tundra Zone. Realistically, there are a lot more cities than there are on this side, whereas comparative, you only have the few, and they are higher level, which do become harder to farm. You'll see a lot of the enemies at the start are going to be the normal deviants and not the humanoids, whereas that's who drops gunpowder and that's where your ammo is. This game, or at least the Way of Winter, really forces you to do melee for a lot of it, and so I'm going to showcase how we can try to excel there and push into the level so that we can get to the winter zone and be able to farm it efficiently, as well as be able to get ammo early on, because that's what matters, and that's going to help you push the level quickly. So first up, with the Way of Winter mechanic, we do see in the top right that we are taking damage right now. If you see in the bottom here, or the little section, if I can actually get to it, which I can't, but in the bottom section here, we do see that our person is essentially going to be taking damage soon, as we are cold, basically. And that is not good. You don't want that person to pop up on the bottom there. That is basically letting you know that you are going to take damage sometime soon if you don't heat your body up. Now, there are multiple ways to do so. The first is going to be through gear or through a weapon. It's going to basically have you make a torch, which is essentially going to heat you up. However, that is not going to be the only way, and you're going to have to do it through multiple methods in order to get to the railroad section as well as the winter section as quickly as possible and be able to do it at a low level. And as you see here, because we are now in the -5 range, that person in the bottom has disappeared. So the first way you're going to want to do it in the first method is going to be trying to get yourself some gear. Now, essentially, you want to farm up materials in order to be able to craft that gear where you can here. But the two most useful ones, or the ones that you're going to want to get as early as you can, is a chest piece where you're going to be able to get deer hide. Now, I haven't been able to find highland deer or even forest deer or tundra deer. Essentially, these are going to be probably in the later zone areas after I do complete this Hiverrail mission, but I wanted to showcase this early so people could I could get this video out to you guys. So not only do you want to do the chest piece right away, you also want to do your pants. And again, it doesn't really matter if you're taking tier 1 or tier 2. What matters here, as you can see, the cold resistance is still +5. It all matters on what type of hide you're using. However, once you get those two, that's really all you need there. As you can see, we have the low temp over on the armor section here on the top. The rest of these don't actually add to that, dependent on what you're going to be using. Early on, again, you really just want to get the chest and the legs. That's going to what you want to prioritize for the low temp so that you can survive, so that you can push to the railway area. You'll see you'll get this quest quite early. If you do jump into your quest log here under tasks, it is a level 23 quest, but you can push it quite early. In fact, I was up there at level 14 and able to survive, and I would do so because you're going to be encountering humanoids. There are a few on the way. You'll be able to tell on the map. I do believe there's one up here, or one inside here somewhere, or even over here. There's like a little section. There's some humanoids, but they're really hard to find. They're far and few between. So in my opinion, you're really going to want to push this level 23 quest as fast as possible, because the gunpowder and the amount of ammo you get is going to start domino effect, or there's going to be a domino effect where you're going to get more and more ammo, where you can craft more ammo. You see, I even think I have ammo in here that I've crafted. Yeah, I have about 240, so I even have more pistol ammo. You want to push pistol ammo as quickly as possible, or at least ammo as quickly as possible, as that is going to help you down mobs quickly, and that is going to help you level quickly. You really don't want to be using your melee weapon, only when you need to sometimes, to essentially prevent the coldness from turning up. Now there are other methods here, so on top of also building gear, you're going to notice that even if you have the torch out, we're at 0 right now, which is nice, but if we put the torch away, we're at -5. So how can we utilize our weapon and also be able to survive in the heavy rail area? You're going to need to essentially craft buffs. Now the best, or what I found is the easiest one to craft here, is the salted roasted spike Mado. I was able to get salt very easily. You also have a section over here to get salt from the ocean where you can grab salt water if you need to, if you can't get salt. This one is the easiest one, as this plant is everywhere. Spike Mado, you're going to see a lot in the early locations, and there's even some up here in this section, so that's going to be an easy buff to apply. When I do apply it here, you'll see it's going to give me a half an hour, and it's going to give me 10 cold resist, which is massive. As you see here, even when I pull out my weapon, even if we're at -5, we are still in the gray zone in the top right. That's where you want to be. And even when we drop to -10, we are still in the gray zone here, meaning that we can survive the cold, and we really don't have to keep our melee weapon out the entire time, especially when we get to the heavy rail area, which is what matters. Again, that's where you want to push as fast as possible. Another way to get gunpowder very fast if you are running into ammo problems, moving on to this section here where the ammo is kind of an issue, because you really do want to have at least a weapon of choice other than a melee, is I would probably bring a Digby Boy, or try to get one very soon. If you have an advanced drill that you can bring over, I would bring one over through the seasonal transfer section, and if you can, bring a Digby Boy over. I always bring this one over because it has this trait here, which I've rarely ever seen, but this works for all territorial deviations. And you'll see we have some tin ore, but this is also going to give us some copper ore and some sulfur. Usually I didn't get any that time, but that's going to also help you make gunpowder so that you can make ammo. And another deviation that I recommend to bring over is the lethal bunny rabbit. The reason why is it's going to be getting you raw hide, which is essentially the main course of this new scenario, is getting that raw hide. And I was trying to use it over here to see if I could get the tundra hide or any of the different hides, where it's probably more so inside the winter section that we'll have to get to in order to get that. So maybe place your base somewhere up here if you need to be able to get that. But that is, I just placed this one down. That is what I would utilize, is bringing those two deviations at the most right now, because that's going to get you both the hide to be able to craft gear, as well as getting you that sulfur, so in case you need to craft any of the gunpowder, as you're going to be running into ammo problems pretty significantly right off the bat. So again, in combination, as of right now, we have just the 2 gear pieces that mostly matter, that are going to provide the low temp. Also our melee weapon that's going to help us be able to keep our body temperature up, or at least in the middle section there, in the gray section. And then also, as well as the food buff, and the easiest one to get here is the salted roasted spike Mado, which is under your cradle section here, and I'll show you that very quickly in your pneumatics, where you can jump down here, and it is going to be in dish number 2. So that is going to give you, and then that is going to give you that 10 cold resist for 30 minutes, as the beginning ones I believe are only 5 minutes or whatever it is, or even if you just eat like the regular plants that they give you at the start that you can go grab, those are only going to give you, you're only going to get 5 cold resist, and this is only going to last you 5 minutes. So in my opinion, you should just farm out as quickly as possible the salted roasted spike Mado, as that's going to provide you the most amount of cold effect, or cold resistance rather, that's going to allow you to be able to get into that section there. And you'll see me walking in very early on at level 14, and I'm able to survive that all the way up to -10 right now, or realistically with a melee weapon I can push this down to 0 even in the winter section. And you can occasionally pull out the melee weapon you'll see when I'm up there, I occasionally pull out the melee weapon to keep my body temperature up. You just want to make sure that the guy in the bottom right next to your health bar is not appearing. If it does, you should pull out a melee weapon, hit yourself up with the torch, or apply a buff to make sure that you're managing that, as that's when you're going to be taking damage sometime soon if that buff or that debuff next to your health bar is on too long. Now once you've dominoed to this quest section or this area of the map, you're then going to head in to do the quest for the heavy rail. Very easy, very simple. A lot of the humanoids are strong though, so do be careful. You might want to try to get a level 2 gear piece if you can push for level 2 gear or for tier 2, although I'm more than likely going to try to wait till I can get the other section here, or at least these other things here, these other buffs, so I can get this other hide. That way I can get myself the plus 10 cold resist, as that's what we're going to want to really push into, is the cold resist section, or the resistance buffs, so that way we can get farther and farther into the campaign and be able to push those levels. At that point, if you really need to, if you're having or struggling with the humanoids, you can then do the silos. There are these around, so we have the PSI silo, we also have the EX1 silo, and the Delta silo. However, you really don't want to be doing this with a melee weapon. That's why I'm trying to tell you, you should push these higher level quests as quickly as possible, because you're going to be in the humanoid zones, and the humanoid drop ammo as well as gunpowder. You'll occasionally see ammo from the regular deviants. However, it's very rare comparative to just getting gunpowder. Being able to make your ammo or even make gunpowder, you're going to get acid really fast. As you see here, I have 97 because a lot of the deviants that you fight are going to drop acid. So you're going to have a ton of that right away. You can always bring over a little bit of gunpowder if you need to at the start. I would bring over just very bare minimum and focus mostly on pushing as fast as you can, trying to get your gear for the chest piece, the leggings, and the food buff, as well as making sure your melee weapon is in check and you're good to go. That's really all you need. And then the 2 deviants, that's going to help you push levels as quickly as possible, and as well as kind of domino effect the ammo. That way you can keep pushing. As you'll see, you'll take down enemies very quickly if you have ammo, whereas comparative, if you're just meleeing, it's not going to be as good, and you're going to be very far behind on level comparatively, or it's going to take you a lot longer. I was watching some other streamers who were playing, and they were 4 or 5 hours in already, where I'm only an hour or 2 in, and I've already caught their level of where they were doing for 5 hours of meleeing. Now, another useful tip, I probably should have included this at the beginning, but wherever you spawn, you are able to go back and forth. Now, if you want to avoid travel time, I do suggest joining a hive. That's going to allow you to transfer to the other sections. As you see, we have multiple people on either side of my hive, both on either side of this, where I can then go to their base, and you can teleport to it easily, and then teleport back and forth using their bases as kind of a quick route there. Unless you have a friend on one of the sides and they want to bring in their space turn or deviation, you still have to wait for that. Whereas if you just join a hive and you have at least one person on the other side, you can easily transfer to this other side and then get the camp here, or the encampment, and you can farm some of these areas here. That's also going to help you a lot too. That's what I did at the beginning. I was farming some of these other side encampments where I spawned on the Fedora side. Now I went to the Onyx Tundra to kind of help push past level 10. You'll hit kind of a barrier there around level 10, and you're also not getting supplies anymore if you farm the same areas. So what you should do is more than likely jump to the next territory, and to save fuel, which you're going to need desperately. You really don't want to waste your fuel in this, as you're not going to get a lot at the start. You want to be able to kind of save that. You'll then jump to the Onyx Tundra. That overall should cover it for the beginning level guide. If I do find any more tips and tricks along the way, I will then post them, but those are kind of going to help you push to max level, as well as get through the campaign as quickly as possible. If you enjoyed today's video, I'd like to subscribe, and until the next one, deuces.